Hi, it's Grandma Karen. You have thread on your bobbin, and now let's thread the machine and the bobbin. Today we are talking about the Bernina 335. Before we begin, let's talk safety. If I work near the needle, I do one of the following. I move my foot pedal away from my foot, or unplug the foot pedal, or I turn off my machine. Your presser foot needs to be in the up position when you begin threading the top of the machine. You have seen this stitch note before. The presser foot must be in the up position when threading the top of the machine to ensure the thread goes into the tension discs. We will do a little experiment at the end of this lesson to help you understand. Put your spool of thread on the proper spool pin. Vertical pin for stack thread, horizontal pin for cross-wound thread. Review lesson 7 if you have forgotten what the two types of thread and spool pins are. I'll put my cross-wound thread on this horizontal spool pin with the correct spool cap. If you're using the vertical spool pin, it will thread the same way. It's just going to come off of this spool. I'm going to go to this rear thread guide here. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to hold the thread between both hands, put it underneath here, and just pull up, and it clicks into place. Then it's going to go in this groove or channel on the top of the machine. Here's a close-up of threading the top of the machine. The pink arrow is pointing to the tension discs inside your machine. The thread continues in this groove past the tension discs. Then it goes down the front into the groove, and then it goes up under the thread guide here that has a check spring in it. It comes back up the left groove. As you pull the thread up, it must hug this right side of this metal plate here. Then it goes all the way back and goes over the top of the take-up lever and then back down. If you don't hug the side of this as you go up, two things can happen. The thread may not go over the take-up lever where the thread needs to go. This will make horrible stitches. The other thing that can happen is that the thread goes into the take-up lever the wrong way and it gets stuck and will not move. It's complicated to get the thread out of it if it gets stuck, so it is important to pull the thread along the right side of the metal plate when coming to the top of the groove and go all the way back before it goes back down. Here's a close-up of the thread drawn on with a marker. The dashed line shows where the thread is under the check spring guide at the bottom of the metal plate. The thread goes down, then up, then down. Then it goes behind the large guide that is shown with the red arrow. Here's a close-up of the take-up lever and the metal plate. Remember the take-up lever? We learned about it in lesson 5. The take-up lever needs to be in its highest or up position when we thread the top of the machine. The take-up lever is automatically in this position when you turn on the machine. If it's not correct, then you need to push the needle up button. You might need to push it 2 times to be in the up position, or you can turn the hand wheel towards you until it is in the up position. The red arrow points to the large thread guide. The thread goes into this guide from the right. Now look at the thread guide at the needle bar. The green arrow is pointing to it. The thread slides in from the left side. You will need scissors to cut the thread before threading the machine. There are many types of scissors. The scissors in the left photo are fabric cutting scissors. Notice that all of these have a piece of yarn tied to the handle. You should not cut thread or paper or do crafts with fabric scissors. Everyone in my house knows not to use these. Cutting paper or thread with fabric scissors makes them dull, and then they will not cut fabric. They are expensive, so don't use them to cut thread. The middle photo shows small embroidery and school scissors. If they are sharp, they work well to cut thread. The right photo has a standard scissors on it. Great for cutting paper and doing crafts. Some of them will also be good for cutting threads. The left photo shows cutting the thread on the diagonal. The right photo is of the needle. I wet my finger with my mouth. You could use the sink and get it wet if that seems too gross for you. Then you wet the back of the eye of the needle. The spit or water on the back of the needle helps draw the thread into the needle. Hold the thread with your thumb and index finger. Have about 1/2 inch of thread sticking out. Not too much or the thread droops down. Push the thread through the eye of the needle. Sometimes it is easier to see the eye of the needle if the presser foot's on. It gives a silver or a white background behind the eye. As the thread goes into the eye, continue to push your thumb and your finger to the back of the needle and grab hold of the thread. Pull it out about 4 to 6 inches. The thread should not be wrapped around the needle like the photo on the left. This happens sometimes. Pull the thread down a little and let it go back into the correct position so it is coming straight off the needle like the photo on the right. The thread tail should be coming from the back of the eye of the needle. There are other ways to thread the needle, and we will talk about them in our next lesson. So our thread has come down this left groove here, and now I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to hold it between both hands like this, and I'm going to slide it over the top of this large thread guide and then put it in like that. Now to do the little thread guide on the needle bar, I'm going to put my needle down a little bit so that I can do it a little bit easier. And I'm going to again hold it between both hands, and I'm going to put it over the top of that like that. And there we go. Now that's threaded. So we've threaded both of these guides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut my thread on the diagonal, and then I'm going to wet my finger and wet the back of the eye of the needle. Now for this part, because we've already gone past the tension disc, I can put my presser foot down. It will make it easier to do. And then I'm going to take this thread, I'm going to have about 1/2 inch or less sticking out between my fingers, and I'm going to just push it in there. Sometimes that might take more than one time. And then I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to keep going back there to pull it out a little bit more, and then I can grab the end with my other hand. If your thread's too thick, it may not fit in the eye of the needle. We're going to talk about that in our next lesson. So I can show you on this giant needle a little bit easier than showing you on the machine. I took my thread, and this is a bigger thread, so hopefully you can see this, and I've wet the back of my needle, cut this on the diagonal, I put it in there, and then I let my fingers go around to the back and grab a hold of it and pull it at least a little bit so that I can let go and then pull it with my other hand. And that's how you thread the needle. Let's do our experiment with the tension. Put the presser foot in the up position. So this is up. Pull the top thread towards you. See how easily it pulls. Now put the presser foot down. When I pull this thread, it is really tight. This is because the tension discs are closed. This keeps a nice tightness on the top thread. When the foot is up, the thread goes between the tension discs. If the foot is down, when we thread the top tension, the thread may sit on top of the discs. You will have terrible stitches if this happens. Putting thread on the bobbin is called winding the bobbin. Putting the bobbin into the machine is called threading the bobbin. The bobbin goes into this bobbin case. Some machines have what we call a drop-in bobbin. Your machine has what I call a removable bobbin case, like this. Your bobbin will have to be threaded into the bobbin case. In other words, the thread needs to follow a certain pathway to work correctly. The bobbin case also has a tension on it. It is controlled by a little screw. If your bobbin case is inside the machine, you will have to take it out. Open this bobbin cover, lift the little latch that's right here, and then you pull the bobbin case straight out. As you're holding the latch open, it prevents the bobbin from falling out. As I let go of this little latch, this falls into my hand now easily. But I'm not going to yank this thread out of the bobbin case. I am going to gently pull it out, or I'm going to cut the thread and pull it out. On your bobbin case, there's a little spring here. This is the tension, and we want to protect that tension, so we're not going to yank the thread out. Lay the bobbin on the table or on the palm of your hand. Flip the bobbin over until it is forming a Q. Q is for quality stitches. Hold the bobbin case with the whole side up or facing you. Put the bobbin into the bobbin case. The bobbin should still form a Q with the thread and the bobbin. Turn the bobbin so the side is facing towards you. Find the little slit in the side. The pink arrow is pointing to the slit on this bobbin case. In the photo, you can see that I have pulled the tail of the thread into this slit. Notice that my thumb is holding the bobbin so it does not spin. This makes it easier to thread the bobbin case. The left photo shows the thread has been pulled up until it stops. The red dashed lines show the thread under the metal spring. The right photo shows that the thread is pulled to the right until it is coming out of the hole. Leave 4 to 6 inches coming out of the bobbin case. Put the bobbin case into the machine. Hold the bobbin case by the open latch. Put the bobbin into the hook area. See the post that is in the machine? The green arrow points to it. The center hole in the bobbin case goes into this post. The bobbin case has a little finger on it. The finger is pointing up. The blue arrow points to it. The latch is pointing to the left side. Place the bobbin case in your hand with the hole facing up. Drop this bobbin into the bobbin case, making sure that the thread is still forming a Q with the bobbin and the thread. Turn the bobbin case to the side while you're holding it. Make sure that your thumb is holding the bobbin so it won't spin. Slide this thread into the slit right there, and then you're going to pull it up to the left gently until it stops, and then you're going to pull it over till it's in the little hole there. Make sure that you don't yank on it because this is the spring and we don't want to mess with our tension. Hold the bobbin case with the latch open like this. I'm going to open up that latch. So I'm holding it by the latch and I'm going to go in here. See this post right there? I'm going to put the hole in the bobbin onto that post. Let go of the latch, and then I'm going to make sure that the finger is pointing up. I'm going to push it until you hear it click. Sometimes it does not make that clicking sound, so you need to jiggle your bobbin case back and forth to make sure that it's in there tight. Or reach over and turn the hand wheel back and forth, rock it a little bit. If this is not in tight, then when you start to sew, it will fall out. Use the manual that came with your machine for photos on how to thread it if you've forgotten. Your machine also has some arrows to show you where the thread goes next. Now it's time for your homework. Show your mentor that you can do the following things. Properly thread the top of the machine, going through all the guides and tension. Properly thread the bobbin case. Thread the needle. 1. Place thread on the correct spool pin. 2. Does the pressure foot need to be up or down for threading the top of the machine? A dull needle, a machine full of lint, and a machine needing oil can cause bad stitches. Next time we will learn a little about sewing machine needles. You will take out the old needle and replace it with the new needle. All sewing machines need to be cleaned of lint and dust. We will learn to clean and to oil your machine. See you next time. Now here's a note for the mentor. For our next lesson, you will need the following: a soft brush to clean the machine, sewing machine oil, sewing machine needles, universal size 80-12 are good. Thread, cotton covered polyester or all-purpose thread or 50-weight cotton thread are best. You may have the supplies already. You can buy them at fabric stores or online. Thank you for helping someone learn to sew.